Hey there, I'm Chris Hassel. This is CBS Sports HQ's 2021 NBA mock draft. We only have about a month to go in the regular season, and this is our draft order, the draft order that we're going with. This isn't necessarily going to be the draft order, but for the purposes of this mock, the Timberwolves will draft first, followed by the Houston Rockets, and then 4 Eastern Conference teams, including the Orlando Magic, who have the 4th pick and the 10th pick in our mock. That 10th pick coming via the Chicago Bulls in that pre-trade deadline trade. All right, we also have to get our mock drafters in here. We have CBS Sports college basketball columnist Gary Parrish, NBA draft analyst Matt Babcock, at 24/7's national basketball analyst Travis Branham. Gary is given first pick. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who had the first pick last season and took Anthony Edwards, who might be the rookie of the year this season. Who's your pick at number 1 for the Timberwolves, Gary?
Well, with the first pick of the 2021 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State University. I should say, this is not a no-brainer for me. I know it is for others, but I really like Jalen Suggs. I really like Evan Mobley. Regardless of who is picking first, I think you should be selecting from those 3 players, and reasonable people can disagree. But with Cunningham, you're talking about a 6'8" point guard who's got incredible physical tools, was an absolute star in his 1 season at Oklahoma State. You know, averaged 20 points per game, around 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game. He went big against Baylor and is obviously the best player from one of only 2 teams all season that beat the national champion. So I know that Minnesota still has D'Angelo Russell under contract for 2 more years, but that's not going to impact who I'm picking first if I'm selecting from Minnesota. We'll figure that out, and you could have a backcourt of the future of Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards. It's a pretty good place to start building.
No question about it. So Cade Cunningham, number 1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Houston Rockets at number 2. Travis making the pick.
With the 2nd pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Evan Mobley out of the University of Southern California. With the Rockets at the beginning stages of a rebuild and Cunningham off the board, you have to take that next top talent. And in my opinion, that is Evan Mobley. What makes Evan special is he has an elite blend of high floor but also high ceiling. He stands nearly 7 feet tall with a 7'5" wingspan, so he has outstanding physical tools. He's a great athlete who runs the floor with ease, quick off his feet, has great hands and touch around the rim. His high floor starts on the defensive end of the court, where he can switch onto the perimeter in ball screen situations. He's an elite rim protector and also a high-level rebounder. On the offensive end, he's a highly efficient and effective big man. With his back to the basket, he can score over either shoulder. He also has a budding offensive skill set where he can deck the ball, he can pass it. His mid-range jumper is continuing to improve, and it looks like he'll be able to stretch it out to the perimeter. In any other draft class, I think Mobley would have been that number 1 choice, and so getting him at number 2 is outstanding value.
So a couple of one and dones, 1 and 2 so far in our mock. Evan Mobley helping lead USC to the Elite 8 this past tournament. At number 3, Matt has the pick for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, with the 3rd pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Jalen Green of the G League Ignite. With this pick, I consider Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga. He might have a slight edge over Jalen Green overall. However, the Pistons used a high lottery pick last year on Killian Hayes, and even though he hasn't had the rookie year that a lot of us had hoped or expected that he would have, I think it's too early to give up on him. And so Jalen Green, is close to Jalen Suggs in terms of talent, and he fits this roster well. He's a 6'5", 6'6", 2 guard that's a dynamic scorer and an overall offensive player. And I think he's an underrated playmaker as well. He kind of falls into the same mold as the Chicago Bulls' Zach LaVine. I think this would be a good pick for the Pistons.
So that means Jalen Suggs is still on the board for Gary Parrish, who's picking for the Magic at 4, their first of 2 top 10 picks in our mock. Gary?
He will not be on the board much longer. With the 4th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga University. For me, this is simply best player available at this point. He's a 6'4" lead guard, incredible athlete. One of the biggest reasons why the Zags played for the national title for the second time in school history. He had a roster dominated by upperclassmen, and yet he was still able to post really good numbers: 14 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists per game. He's a former two-sport star, so again, the athleticism is off the charts. If you're trying to nitpick, he's a bit of a streaky shooter, only shot about 34% from three-point range. That obviously needs to improve for him to maximize his potential. But with the 4th pick, if I can get somebody who I believe should be under consideration for the 1st pick, I'm going to do that every time.
And again, the Magic will have the 10th pick coming up in our mock as well. At number 5, Travis has the pick for Cleveland.
With the 5th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers will select Jonathan Kuminga out of the G League Ignite. The Cavaliers have a young and promising backcourt in Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, so being able to add another elite piece in a guy like Jonathan Kuminga is a big win for the Cavaliers organization. He is arguably the most naturally talented prospect in this class, and in any other draft, he also would be up in that top 3 conversation, and honestly has made that case this season with his play with the G League Ignite. Not going the pro route is not for every high school kid, but it was for Kuminga, in my opinion. Getting that structure, that coaching, that development made a big jump in his development. His motor improved, his feel for the game improved, his skill set improved. He's an outstanding slasher. You could really see his passing ability on display this season. He still has a ways to go as a shooter, but again, another elite talent with elite upside. And that's a great win for the Cavaliers organization.
So 2 G Leaguers going top 5 in our mock draft. Kuminga to Cleveland at 5 and Jalen Green to Detroit at 3. Now up at number 6, the Washington Wizards. And Matt, you have that pick.
With the 6th pick, the Washington Wizards select Scottie Barnes from Florida State. The Wizards took Denny Avdija last year, a 6'9" versatile forward. Scottie Barnes is a 6'9" versatile player that even played point guard this year for Leonard Hamilton at Florida State. I don't think he's going to play a ton of point guard in the NBA, but it gives you a taste of just how versatile he is on both sides of the floor. He can initiate the break. He's a terrific playmaker, but he can defend everybody as well. And so as the Wizards look to retool, he's a guy that could give them a lot of lineup flexibility. And probably most importantly, he's the best player on the board, in my opinion.
All right, let's move on to number 7 then, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are going to have a ton of picks over the next several years in the NBA draft. Gary is making this selection.
With the 7th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Davion Mitchell out of Baylor. Every year it seems like there is a player or two who really helps himself or hurts himself in the NCAA tournament. Davion Mitchell quite clearly was somebody who helped himself in this NCAA tournament. He is arguably the biggest reason Baylor won its first national title in school history. He's a 6'2" point guard who had a double-double with points and assists in the Final Four. He shot 45% from three-point range this season. He was the National Defensive Player of the Year. So you're talking about somebody who really gets it done on both ends of the court. Incredible athlete, and I think he would work quite well with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC.
That's one of 17 first-round draft picks for the Oklahoma City Thunder currently in their possession over the next 7 years. So they're averaging almost 2.5 first-round picks per draft. They have another pick coming up at 19. Moving on to the Toronto Raptors at number 8. Travis, go ahead and make the selection.
With the 8th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors select James Bouknight out of the University of Connecticut. With Kyle Lowry's tenure looking to come to an end this summer in free agency in Toronto, they're going to be looking to add another scoring punch in that backcourt alongside Fred VanVleet. And I think James Bouknight is the answer to that. He was one of the best scorers in college basketball this season, averaging nearly 19 points a game. But he's also an outstanding rebounder for the position, where he averaged nearly 6 rebounds a game. He's competitive. He's got great size for the position at 6'5". He's a great athlete. He scores it from all 3 levels. He's a very fluid athlete who can also break down his man, get by him. He has a lot of upside in the pick and roll as a 3-level scorer. I really like what he brings on the offensive end, and he can provide an offensive weapon for the Raptors.
All right, up next at number 9, the Sacramento Kings, who knocked it out of the park last season with the number 12 overall pick. Tyrese Halliburton could win Rookie of the Year in the NBA as well. Matt making the selection for the Kings in our mock draft.
Yeah, with the 9th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select KEON Johnson from Tennessee. With this pick, it's all upside. This kid might be the best athlete in the draft. I mean, he is just so explosive, and although he's not a finished project on the offensive end, he's very good defensively. Defends everybody. He's got a terrific motor and utilizes that elite athleticism to make plays. If he's able to click and polish up his offensive game, this guy could be a big-time player.
All right, let's round out the top 10 with the team making its second selection already. The Orlando Magic had a fire sale before the trade deadline, so they got a potential second lottery pick. For the purposes of our mock, the Bulls would have the 10th pick. That goes to the Orlando Magic. Gary, you already picked for Orlando at 4, Jalen Suggs, who fell into your lap. Who are you going with at number 10?
With the 10th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Moses Moody out of Arkansas, which means in Orlando you could have a future backcourt of Jalen Suggs and Moses Moody. I love it. That's the West Coast Conference Freshman of the Year, and now the SEC Freshman of the Year. He's a 6'6" guard who shot mid-30s from three-point range, so he's a capable shooter, really good in transition, great size for his position, and keep in mind he's still only 18 years old. Moses Moody will not turn 19 until May 31st, so he is young for his draft class, which is another plus that should be considered. And again, we can debate whether Orlando should have, as you put it, had that fire sale in advance of the trade deadline. But if the end result is a possible future backcourt of Jalen Suggs and Moses Moody, that is something Orlando fans could get excited about.
All right, so that's your top 10. Moving on to number 11, the New Orleans Pelicans are drafting there, and Travis is the mock GM.
With the 11th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the New Orleans Pelicans will select Cameron Thomas out of LSU. The Pelicans have one of the most promising young duos in the NBA in Brandon Ingram and a healthy Zion Williamson. They are needing another scoring punch on the perimeter, and Cameron Thomas provides just that. Since the grassroots level, Cameron Thomas has proven that he is one of the best scorers in this loaded draft class. He does it from all 3 levels. He has range on his jumper. He has a terrific float game. So for the next level, he provides as a microwave scorer to play alongside that Williamson and Ingram duo.
All right, and Matt Babcock is up next with the selection for the Golden State Warriors at number 12.
Yeah, with the 12th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. With this pick, I did consider Franz Wagner from Michigan. However, I went with the sure thing. Corey Kispert is a seasoned vet, coming from college. He's the best shooter in the country, although he did struggle in the last few games in March. I think this is a kid that would step in and really help contribute to success right away for the Warriors. And you know what? They've done pretty well with a couple other shooters there, so I think he could kind of follow in line with how they like to play.
Okay, so that's the 12th selection, Corey Kispert for the Golden State Warriors. Only a couple of more picks in the lottery. The next one, number 13, to the Indiana Pacers, and Gary Parrish making the selection.
With the 13th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers select Trey Mann out of Florida. This should be a really good lesson for all projected one-and-done players coming out of high school who maybe struggle in their freshman years of college, because Trey Mann did. He was not good at Florida, and I think probably did a second year of college when he never probably expected to do a second year of college. But it was a wise decision, and he really made the jump. Averaged 16 points per game this past season, helped the Gators advance in the NCAA tournament, hit that step-back jumper against Virginia Tech that'll serve him well in the NBA. Shot 40% from three-point range. Here is somebody who was always supposed to be a lottery pick, but after that 1 year of college, I'm not sure would have even been a first-round pick. Decided to come back to school and improve, both as a player and a prospect. He did both, and it's going to pay off in a big, big way.
All right, last lottery pick in our 21 mock in the NBA, and it's to the San Antonio Spurs. Travis, go ahead.
With the 14th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs will select Isaiah Jackson out of the University of Kentucky. The San Antonio Spurs are in need of adding to their front court with the loss of LaMarcus Aldridge. And Isaiah Jackson provides a very high upside piece that can also be molded and developed in that San Antonio system. He's an elite athlete, big time run and jump, big man who's a great rim protector, rebounder, again, a switch defender who can defend all 5 positions on the floor. Offensively, he is raw. He's still developing his feel for the game. But going to the San Antonio Spurs system, they can continue to work on him and mold him into an impressive NBA player.
Okay, so that makes up the lottery. Let's recap it for you. Cade Cunningham went number 1. Evan Mobley, number 2 to the Rockets. Maybe a little bit of a surprise with Jalen Green going number 3 ahead of Jalen Suggs, who goes 4 to the Magic. Taking a look ahead now to our post-lottery picks, 15 through 21, and the Knicks have a couple of those picks. We're going to hit on that in just a moment. Franz Wagner out of Michigan, number 16 to the Grizzlies. And also the Oklahoma City Thunder adding on, had a couple of picks already. Oklahoma City had Davion Mitchell at number 7, but also taking Jeremiah Robinson Earl out of Villanova at number 19. All right, so let's focus in on those Knicks picks. Jalen Johnson and Josh Christopher. Matt, explain the selections for the Knicks.
Sure. Well, the Knicks have had a pretty good year and hit on a couple guys. R.J. Barrett's really turned things around. Emmanuel quickly surprised all of us, myself included. And with these 2 picks, it's 2 guys that were high-level high school prospects, did not have good freshman years for various reasons, but they're lottery talents. And so with these 2 picks, it's 2 guys the Knicks could swing for the fences, and if they click, they could add another guy or 2 that could really contribute.
Okay, so the Knicks, for the purposes of our draft, have number 15 and number 21, and those are the 2 selections there from Matt Babcock. Travis, tell us about your pick for Boston at number 17 in Marcus Bagley, the brother of another Bagley in the NBA that we're very familiar with.
Yes, definitely not as highly touted as his older brother Marvin Bagley, but Marcus is another big-time talent. He is very rangy looking around the industry. He can be projected anywhere from the mid-first round to the late second, but I really like the talent that Marcus Bagley brings to the table. He's 6'7". He's got a strong frame. He's skilled, got a good feel for the game. He can really shoot it. And his versatility on the defensive end, along with that shooting ability, I think is going to really attract NBA teams, and he's going to jump up these draft boards with that defensive versatility and that three-point shooting as he gets in those in-person NBA workouts.
All right, so that's number 17, Bagley to Boston. Now rounding out the first round of our mock here, and the Houston Rockets with a couple more picks in this draft. David Johnson out of Louisville, number 22, and Terrence Shannon Jr. out of Texas Tech at number 23. For the Houston Rockets, who took Evan Mobley, number 2 overall, and Travis was making those picks. But want to zero in on the LA Lakers at number 24 right now, that draft pick. I think Lakers fans hope that draft pick will get a little bit worse after they get a little bit more healthy. But at number 24 right now, Gary taking Ayo Dosunmu, who was so good for Illinois this past season.
You know, I mentioned earlier about Trey Mann benefiting coming back to school for one more season at Florida. You could argue Ayo Dosunmu did something very, very similar. He was in the 2020 NBA draft before eventually withdrawing, and I'm certain he would have been picked somewhere, but I don't think it would have been in the first round. Comes back to Illinois and does everything you want him to do, or at least lots of the things you want him to do, to prove that he's a legitimate NBA player. Most specifically, improved as a three-point shooter. In his sophomore year of college, he only shot 29% from 3. Came back understanding that he needed to be better, shot 39% from 3 in this season. Now, it was only on 3 attempts per game, so low volume, relatively speaking, but still, he proved to be a capable shooter, and all the other scoring stuff is there. He's a star who would be perfect inside Staples Center, and I think somebody who would be able to help the Lakers compete for a championship as a rookie. He's ready to play in the NBA, and with LeBron James on the wrong side of his career, still very much in his prime, but how many years does he have left? I think the Lakers want to draft people who can help LeBron and Anthony Davis immediately, and Ayo Dosunmu, I think, definitely could.
All right, and at number 28, the Philadelphia 76ers taking Jared Butler, the most outstanding player from the NCAA tournament. Matt, do you see him slipping that far? I know you can see in some places where he could be a lottery pick, especially thanks to his great play in the tournament.
Well, from a talent standpoint, I don't think he would get that far. There are some concerns with his medicals. He was not cleared at Alabama when he originally committed there and ended up going to Baylor, where he was cleared, which has raised a lot of questions. But from a talent standpoint, I mean, that kid just keeps getting better and better. I remember watching him at USA Basketball a couple of years ago, and I liked him but didn't love him. This year, I loved him. This guy, from a talent standpoint, like I said, is top notch. All
right, and should be of note, no Luka Garza in this first round mock. Not necessarily surprising, but I know if you're a college basketball fan watching, he swept everything, all the Player of the Year awards, but Garza probably going to be a second round pick in the NBA draft. Recapping our lottery picks, Cade Cunningham went number 1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Evan Mobley number 2 to the Rockets. Jalen Green ahead of Jalen Suggs. Green goes to the Pistons, Suggs to the Magic, who also took Moses Moody at number 10 overall. The Magic, the only team with multiple lottery picks thanks to that trade with the Bulls. We'll see how that works out. Chicago, as of right now, out of the playoff picture, but certainly an opportunity to play themselves in, and that would hurt that Magic pick. You can hear much more from Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Be sure to follow that today. The latest episode talking about the way too early offseason top 25 ranking. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.